Welcome back to another Experts in AI video here. I'm Ben Wadecki, and I'm really pleased to be joined by Kent Noyes from WWT, Worldwide Technology. Kent, how's it going?
Going very well. Really good to be talking with you, Ben.
So we're talking AI and security. We got a real kind of conversation on this today. Talking about new attack surfaces, but new defensive tools. Kent, what kind of trends are you seeing in the AI security space? How can organizations best prepare considering, the landscape is changing all the time?
Yeah, it kind of depends on which path they're going down. We are normally speaking in two different bucket categories of conversations. We call it security of AI, security by AI. And it used to be most of it was security. About a year ago, I'd say most of it was security of AI. But now it's which is protecting AI systems and data. Now they're going down the path of security by AI a lot more. We're seeing that grow tremendously where cyber teams are trying to use AI in security. So kind of depends on which path they go down. But that's usually the first decision point we have to solve for as we talk to them.
Yeah, Ken, I want to just delve into some of those new attack fronts that are coming up, prompt engineering jailbreaks, shadow AI, phishing campaigns that are becoming more sophisticated. What are kind of some of the key considerations that you feel security teams should be looking at to kind of combat these more increasingly sophisticated attacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true what they say. I think over time you're going to have to use AI to counter AI. We're probably spending the most time on deepfakes at this point. That's the one that we see. I think everybody, the analysts, I think the government and laws that are coming out, they see the growth of that as being inevitable. There are real life instances of that happening where deepfakes are occurring, and there have been financial transactions as a result of that. And so that's one perfect example where you need AI to counter that. And so we're doing testing in our labs around that type of thing with customers to help them determine and automate basically testing of detection vendors. It's an emerging solution space in that space to be able to detect deepfakes. And so we set up automations for them and sort of a mock call center to be able to either use clips of audio, deepfakes or not, and automate the delivery of that to the detection vendors and then bring back the results to the customer as part of that. So those are some examples of some of the things we're doing, to sort of counter AI. And a lot of the other ones like phishing and fraud, you're going to have AI built into modern email security solutions, et cetera. I think a lot of it is evaluating the solution set you already have in cyber, determine what AI capabilities they have. We also offer an AI security tools rationalization type of an offering to be able to kind of look at what you have in inventory to see what AI gaps you may be able to fill with it to make your cyber defense a little bit more automated, a little bit more quick, and a little bit more modern.
So yeah, Ken, I want to talk about the testing. We'll come on to that in a bit. But first of all, how effective are you seeing these tools? Are they, being supercharged with large language models and foundation systems? How are these evolving as well?
It depends on the tool. I think some of them have been around a long time. There's, take the deepfake detection that's using a lot of traditional machine learning and AI. So that's been, I think they're coming along fairly well. It's been at it a while, right? I think the other ones, and a lot of them are sort of like co-pilots or summarization tools, and they're using generative AI, large language models. We're all in this space where we're trying to tune out all that hallucination space. And so it's coming along. It's just like you can almost follow the progress to me of all of the major players out there, OpenAI and Gemini and Claude. Their hallucinations are improving over time. As they improve, we're starting to see them improve in the security tools as well. Combined with the fact that they're tuning those tools, the vendors themselves are tuning the tools to combine with that to make them more effective. So it's improving. There's no doubt about it.
So Ken, on that, as these companies are looking to adopt and deploy these solutions, obviously the wider board considerations is kind of key. Talk to us about how you guys are communicating with C-level executives, because they're getting interested in AI, but they also need to understand the risk. What strategies are you doing to kind of educate and help them understand about these?
So I think there's just a variety of ways we communicate to them about it, but we really kind of zero on where their chief concerns are. We always give them an overview of kind of what's going on. Their most common question for me has always been, what are we seeing other companies doing? What are we seeing in the industry? And so that's where I always start. And I'll go through an overview of what we see in terms of, shadow AI, for example. Shadow AI is one of the biggest, most common conversations we have. Biggest concerns, it's all about the data, right? They want to know if they've got sensitive data going out to the large language models in the wild, and then internally there's shadow AI that's happening where they're being built. So usually they'll start with that, but those are some of the trends that we kind of get into about that and some of the solutions that are out in an evolving space in that area. So we meet them where they are. A lot of times at that level, it's also sort of a governance and a monitoring type conversation. So they're aware of what AI is even being built or being used in their environments and that shadow AI detection. So protecting their data overall, and I think not having a major exposure, a major breach as a result of that is always their concern. Deepfake, going back to deepfake, who cares about that the most? Often it's executives actually, because they're targeted in a lot of the cases that are out there. So they have a lot of questions about that as well. So it's really a game of, sort of a strategy of meeting them kind of where they are to try to let them know what's going on in the industry and try to meet their specific concerns and sync that together.
One thing that you guys do at WWT is providing them with this proving ground application, right, to show how they can actually validate these security solutions. Talk to us a little bit about the importance of that and just the general sandbox environment as well on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge need. The vendor landscapes, and I have visuals on this that I usually use with customers around this, is amazingly complex right now, and a lot of startups in it. AI has a lot of traditional cyber in it, no doubt about it, tons of it, but the landscape is complicated in more modern areas. So to be able to test LLM firewalls or LLM gateways, or to test vulnerability scanners in models or scan models themselves, red teaming solutions, RBAC solutions for AI that are specific for AI, shadow AI detection solutions that exist out there. So it's critical, and I think it's unavoidable because these are a lot of players that haven't been in the space a long time, that especially with the generative AI piece that they're dealing with, that's new for everybody, including them. And so I think it's a requirement essentially to be able to evaluate and lab test it. Once you weed down, usually we go through a phase where we do sort of a market scan or paper POC type thing to weed down the number of solutions. Then you get down to maybe 2 or 3, and that's when you have to get into lab evaluation to find out what's real and what's not real.
So, Ken, looking ahead, how do you see the AI and wider security landscape evolving, especially in light of recent events like the CrowdStrike outage and Microsoft's individual outage as well?
I think it's just what we're seeing in cyber teams right now. We're seeing their use of AI increase. They're asking a lot more questions about it. Attackers are frankly faster and more effective at all those things we talked about earlier with AI. Cyber teams are now, I think, learning and feeling out what things they can do, what use cases they can do to make themselves more nimble and able to not only detect and defend against the AI-based attacks, but those other ones that you mentioned that may not be AI-sourced attacks. They might just be traditional attacks. Either way, there's long been a problem in cyber where there's a data problem. Essentially, there's never enough cyber resources because they have too much data to process. It's not humanly possible to process it. So they don't process much more than a small percentage of it. And so they are tackling it by starting to apply modern AI to it. And we're getting a lot more questions and use cases. Some things are super simple. They just want, for example, they get a lot of articles in. We get questions from customers right now about getting articles of attacks that occurred in the public. They want to know if they're at risk of the same attack. So they want an AI reader, quite simply, to read out the vulnerabilities, the indicators of compromise of that attack, be able to search for it in their own telemetry, also using AI, and automate that whole process. And that requires sort of a custom build, but that's the types of things they're looking at in addition to evaluating their existing platforms, security platforms, to see if they can include AI as a part of that. So I think all of that contributes to being able to more effectively address all attacks, not just AI attacks.
And that's a really good example there of that reader application. I'm hoping that more businesses look to apply that as well. Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed it, Ben.